dudes and dudettes. I am Christopher Royce. I am working on 3 games right now. I'm helping with 1 game, but really working on 2 games. It adds up to 3. The first one I'm going to talk about is Yenen's Tale, which I introduced last time. I should have this open. Alright, so I kind of had the entire game space already created in concrete. I wasn't really going to add any more models. I wasn't going to add any more scripts. And remember, this was part of a final I was working on for school. So, short story real quick, my game development teacher, as a final, instead of actually still working on this scene, he had me work on a completely different scene, which boggled my mind because I had 5 days to create an entirely new game, and I don't know how it got done. But basically, he wanted me to add all these different models and all these different scripts to this scene, and I was like, this scene is already, there's already a lot going on in this scene. I don't want to add anything else. He wanted me to add statues and vehicles and buildings. I'm like, no. I don't think I will. So like I said, I created an entirely new scene, which actually is lore related, so it actually fits. And last time I told you all that there was something was going to happen with this crystal here. That was kind of a secret to you all and myself, but now I know what it's going to do, and I'll show you all in a minute. But Yenen's Tale is a low poly, simple RPG scene. Basically, this is going to be like a painting you see on the wall. When you get close enough to it, basically everything around you disappears except the painting. Except the scene itself. That'll help with draw calls and all that. Draw coals. Is it calls? Coals?
Calls.
Culling the coals? Okay. So yeah, you're playing the scene, and I might actually use the gaze that Vince made, the gaze script, where you look is where the character goes. I think that might be better than gaze and clicking, because I'd rather use the click for something else that I designed. So with that being said, okay, so I got an idle animation going on. Remember last time I had animations, but they weren't even tied to anything. I actually had to press 5 buttons to get stuff working. But with Shay's help, in 5 minutes, it's got some delay, but there you go. There's a walking animation now that goes anywhere you click. So amazing. Now stuff's interactable. When you click on interactable objects, you don't walk through them anymore. You don't walk through them and go outside the game space. You actually have a HUD that I made. It goes with the planet because of all the orange stuff. What could be in here? No, there's nothing in here. And there's also nothing in the other backs either. So I created all sorts of fun scripts, as you can see right here. There's a script for each action item or each interactable item. There's different systems. There's a stat system. There's a fighting system, dialogue system. I actually had help with this from a guy on YouTube, so most of the work goes out to him, but keeping up with him was an entirely different thing. There's a tall metallic device jutting from the ground. Doesn't seem to be working right now, even though it is working right now. If you all remember from last time, basically when you come in the scene, there's this fog basically everywhere. The device in the middle of the screen is obviously not on, and basically you have to find an object. And the box back here in the cave has the object you can put in here. It'll turn this particle generator light post on, it'll dissipate the fog, and then this if you've ever played Legend of Legaia, this guy might look familiar. Basically a rip-off of an NPC in Legend of Legaia for PlayStation. This enemy type will be back here, and he'll have an animation, which I was going to do, didn't have time to do sadly. He's going to walk up here, basically stand right here and start shooting lightning bolts at you. That's about as far as I'm going to get for an AI of an enemy type, because Shiloh and me talked about my other game having an AI, and it's just too much. So basically he's going to have just a set script. We'll make him walk up here, stand here, and every like 2 seconds he's going to shoot a lightning bolt. Not even near you. It's just going to be like, oh, he's trying to hurt me. And I actually have the lightning bolt script already made, so I can just tack that onto him. So yeah, I added all of that. But what I also added, like I said, was the fighting system, and you can basically kill that enemy type. Let me show you. You press V. Now, the Gaze or the Google VR version is going to be completely different than this, controls-wise. It's not. It's going to be basically you do a click button to do basically anything. It's just dependent on where you're clicking with the reticle or whatnot. That will have to be figured out this month. You press V to put your sword on your back. To save time and animations, I didn't make it to where Yenen actually does it himself. I made it to where the sword is alive and it's kind of your companion. And that actually goes with the lore, so funny enough. But it dances around you, it jumps around, it'll talk to you and stuff. It's got animations, so it's got a power attack and a special attack. The power attack, it just comes around and slaps somebody. Slap. Slap. All right, so I'm working on the second one. This one actually shoots a lightning bolt out of the sword, but I can't get the sprite to move and I can't get it to disappear. That's probably because it's the sprite on a 3D plane, and I don't know anything about doing that, so that'd probably be a simple fix, but there it goes again. But you press Z, and but it doesn't disappear. And I actually had to where it could kill the enemy type, but for some reason the script messed up and it will not kill the enemy type right now. I'm sure that's a simple fix too. But let's go over here real quick. Let's go ahead and defeat this guy. Get out of here, punk. And like I said, he's oh gosh. Yeah, see, the navigation mesh is a little weird too around certain things. But yeah, it will not be hard to kill this dude. It's not even, there you go, bam. We won the game. So right now, the win condition is there. You can win the game. It's actually finished, if you want to put it that way. The win condition of the game is beat that monster and go to the back of the forest, you're done. So right now, the game can be played and beaten. However, it's not all really tied together. You know, the scripts aren't making things happen, like the fog dissipating. The last thing I want to show you all for this was the second scene I had to create. So this K crystal, right? And this is not going to be just the only scene from this game. I plan on making a little like 2-3 hour video game, point and click game, with this scene being my first part of the game. But there'll be K crystals, these little floating crystals kind of floating around. And when you click on them, they have two functions. They save your game. I don't believe in auto-saving, even though I scum save all the time. Sorry. That means just auto-save, or quick save, quick save, quick save. Uh-oh, it's not working. Hold on, click on it. Well, let me just see something real quick. It's been working all up to this point. Imagine that. It's got the script on it. It's got the code line. Let's just try it. Maybe it was taking too long. But if it doesn't work, I'll just go ahead and show you anyways. But basically, when you click on this crystal, it has two functions. It's the save function, and it will always take you in the past of the planet you're on. It'll show you something that you can't normally see in the present, because all the planets I made have made a lot of lore around them. Yeah, it's not going to work right now. That's very strange. Oh well, it's not important. It wouldn't go to the scene anyway, but basically it'll take you to some part of the planet. It'll show you the memory. It won't be exactly what happened on the planet back then, but it'll just be kind of like a messed up memory. With that being said, this is the second scene. So, like I said, this game is basically a flat surface, and you're pointing and clicking and looking around. But what happens is when you click on this K crystal, it takes you into an actual VR situation, I guess you could say. I don't think this would be too hard to do. I talked to Charlotte about this as well. But basically, let's see, and this is also a third-person camera, which will not be the case. It'll be a first-person camera at this point, because it's basically putting you in the game at this point. So if I can turn around here. Yeah, so you'll be basically facing right here. So this is how I imagine it. The game, you're interacting with it, and you click the K crystal. It says, oh, I hear all these voices around me. It'll do a quick or slow fade in, fade out, and then that basically will turn black while everything around you will turn on and come on. So it's like the game you were looking at turns into a black screen, but then everything around the screen turns into, and you maybe have 15, 20 seconds to just look around. You'll be able to look at the statue and all the other weird things going on. I don't have a lot of textures on these because I didn't get time to really put textures on them, but since it's a dream, it doesn't really need that many details. Here's the hard drive, light drive vehicle I was telling you about. But I hope that makes sense the way I'm explaining it. I know it's kind of complicated, but it shouldn't be complicated to do. So it's basically just going from one scene to another, turning one on, turning one off, and then after the 15, 20 seconds of you looking around the city, you're like, why the hell am I here? It'll go right back into that game, and when you click on the K crystal again, it'll just be like, the K crystal is silent, or something like that. So that's kind of giving you two different experiences in this one game. I didn't want it to just be a static point and click game, because what's the point of having that in a VR game? It doesn't really make sense. So I really wanted to create something VR related, and I think that's good enough, because you're kind of experiencing the memory of the planet. So there you go. I'm not going to go into much of my milestones because I've kind of been explaining them as I've been going along, and this is actually for milestone 1. But basically all I need is some help with the scripting. Like I said, between events. Like I said, I've already got all this architecture and all these scripts made. And so I'm just hoping that I can give those to programmers and they can be like, oh, thank God I don't have to create all these methods and whatnot. I can just build upon what Chris has built here. So I really don't think it'll take much longer to make this. So again, as I was saying, I just need a programmer to help connect certain scripts or certain events. With Soulmates, I'm using Audacity to create custom sound effects. I would really like this game to not have sound effects coming out from my mouth. I would really like to maybe get some stock sound effects. So either I can do that on my own, or I need some help with sound design, maybe even a melody. I was wanting to use our friend Brian Webb. Do you all know Brian?
Mm-hmm.
He's really busy right now, but he's got some cool little tunes he's already made, and I'm going to ask him maybe I can use one of those and just have it on loop. It's really cool. But yeah, I really think Yenen's Tale's almost done, and luckily for me, I had basically half of it done when I started on this project. So there you go. There's Yenen's Tale. Woohoo!